We're live. Hey, we're live.
Hey, welcome to Booked, where two guys tell you about the books they're reading. I'm Livius Nedden.
I'm Rob Olson, and...
Misty Bennett.
All right. Welcome to the 2018 Halloween Extravaganza Spectacular. I think the first thing I'm going to take note of is, for people who have seen earlier holiday episodes that we broadcast live through Facebook, you might notice that there's a face missing. And we talked about it in a recent episode, but it bears repeating. Jesse will not be joining us tonight. The schedules just wouldn't work for all four of us, and we had to make a hard choice. And so we decided to go with the person who was easier on the eyes. So
And then we asked Misty if she would join too. So
he declined. Then
yeah, I was going to work up this elaborate story about how podcasters are being killed off by serial killers, and now there are only 3. But we've experienced enough weird stuff in the prep for this episode that we already think there's some supernatural shenanigans going on. So I'm having weird video issues where I'm watching myself is stuck in some kind of weird loop. Yeah, where I'm bouncing back and forth. Rob continues to have mysterious noises happening on his computer that we can't identify.
Spooky noises.
But we're going to power through it, and we're going to bring you this episode because it's our Halloween Extravaganza Spectacular. And what kind of podcast would we be if we didn't do that?
we soldier on through whatever issues we face. Because we're professionals and things like that. We care.
Sure. So, Rob, what is this costume you're wearing this evening?
Oh, I decided I was going to go as Rob this year because last Halloween episode, everybody except me dressed as me, so I figured I'd have to go. And I hope my costume is pretty authentic because you guys did a really good job last year, so I really felt like I had to bring it this time around.
I'll be honest with you. The striped hat. I've known Rob for a long, long time, and the stripes on the hat are throwing me off a little bit.
This was my go-to last summer when I was in California. The tricky thing is I'm just wearing like a regular gray sweater, so I'm not wearing a beer t-shirt or a t-shirt that says booked. So I kind of fell down on the job a little bit. Do you guys want to talk about your costumes?
Yeah, Misty. That's an interesting shade of lip color.
Well, since we weren't dressing up, I decided to at least be goth for today.
Yeah.
In honor of Halloween. And I wore a Dresden Dolls t-shirt that was gifted to me by our beloved Jesse as a tribute and to tell him that we miss him.
Gotcha.
We miss you.
I thought we talked about this. I thought we talked about this before the podcast.
You can't.
Yeah, I'm going as an Eastern European guy with a zipped up sweatshirt. That's my thing. I'm going as one of my people. But
you very well could be wearing track pants right now.
Well, of course I am. But I mean, now that we've got
I am wearing track pants.
now that we've got the costumes out of the way, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to get a little more comfortable here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what? Oh, what?
What is this?
What is what?
Victory.
Thursday night. This is my traditional Thursday night outfit. I know we don't usually do video on Thursday night, so I decided that
Sweet.
yeah. I have a cape too, but I gotta be honest with you. The shirt's a little short and it's cold, but there is a cape as well that I'm not wearing.
Olivia's showing a little midriff.
And I'm not on purpose either. Yeah, there's a cape. Yeah, you'll have to trust me on the cape. So, at any rate, thanks for tuning in to our Halloween episode. If you're listening in audio only, you have missed already our costume reveals. But we're going to talk about a few things. Rob is going to run this one since I've shut down everything on my computer. There's no browser window open. I literally can see just the two of you in an effort to make sure that everything's working smoothly. So Rob has the list of topics that he's going to take us through.
Wow, that's a big... I wasn't ready for that responsibility. And by that I mean I wasn't ready to just take the charge of things. I know we're going to talk about it. I just figured I'd let Livius do the legwork, but I guess I can't now. So traditionally when we've done these episodes in the past, and when we look at holidays in general, we kind of steer toward talking about, with Halloween specifically, we talked a lot about the gruesome, the scary, the frightening, the terror, all that kind of stuff. And this time, this may backfire if it doesn't go well. We're just going to kind of look at the holiday itself a little bit. Just talk about some of the traditions of Halloween as we know them, or as we grew up with them, and things like that. So it's not going to be like we're talking about, traveling through gates that send you to hell, or the elevator game, or those really successful things we talked about in the past. We're throwing that book out, and we're going in a different direction that hopefully is not awful, and actually is okay. Drinking some beer, that always helps. So I thought to start things out, we would talk a little bit about trick-or-treating. It's a Halloween tradition. We're talking about Halloween. Trick-or-treating. Did you guys trick-or-treat when you were kids?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So,
Like
Lucius, you specifically, I'm curious about, because as a kid, you lived in Chicago, in the city, right?
I did, yes.
So, did you have like a traditional trick-or-treating experience, or was there something weird because everybody lives in apartment complexes and stuff?
No, we would. So I grew up in an apartment, and I've of course hit the apartment building that I grew up in. But then we would just skip apartments, and we would just go to houses. But no, it was very traditional. You'd go around, 4 or 5 blocks or whatever, and collect as much candy as you could. But I was just watching tonight, and this is something we can talk about after. I'll hold this off until after you guys talk about your trick or treating experiences. But yeah, I felt it was very traditional.
Yeah.
And it was always done on Halloween. Now, if you live in a state, city, or country where this is still observed on Halloween, that's really no longer the case in most places. Yeah. And I think it's one of the true crimes of our time that we've moved Halloween to whatever the preceding Sunday is. So,
yeah, you're just taken away from you just can't get in the spirit if it's not on the 31st.
Sure. So if it was on a weekend, you do your trick or treating a little earlier. But if not, the end of October, you got out of school. So we got out of school at 3:15 when I was in elementary school. So by the time you got home, it's 3:45. You get your costume on. It was starting to get dark out, and that was part of the fun, right? That added to the spookiness. Now trick or treating is like 10 to 2 on Sunday, the day before Halloween, which in some cases is like 6 days, 5 days, or whatever before. It's not even, like if it was Halloween was on a Monday and you went on Sunday, it felt a little different this year. Trick or treating is on Sunday and Halloween's on Wednesday, and I'm not feeling it. I don't think kids are getting the full experience.
So 2 things I want to talk about from what you just said. First of all, you remember the time that you got out of school in elementary school?
Yes.
That was so long ago. That was decades ago. How do you remember that?
Well, in high school we got out at 2:46. I realized that was a little more.
What?
I knew what time things happened.
Actually,
what time
I'm not
things
gonna lie.
started.
I think we got out at 3:10. I know we got out at 3:10. So
yeah.
High school was 2:30.
Yeah.
If you asked me to even tell you what hour, we got out of school in for any of the 12, original grades of school, I would have no fucking idea. No idea.
That's a little weird, but okay. All right. Well, what was the other thing you wanted to address?
You didn't just wear your costume to school before?
Mm-mm.
No. Mm-mm.
Really?
No, I don't think we were allowed to wear costumes at school. I think in high school you could, but not in elementary school.
Oh, dude, I remember specifically in 4th grade or 5th grade, I had this really awful ninja costume, which was more like red silk pajamas. I don't know why it was a ninja costume. It was red. Not a lot of red ninjas. And it was very silky, and I was embarrassed about the costume all day. It probably had a belt, a black kind of belt, but it felt like fancy pajamas.
I feel like you were really like Hugh Hefner.
I was kind of heffing it out a little bit, yeah.
Oh, also notice, I think Livius may have gotten this from your mom's house.
Black and red fancy pajamas right here, kids.
Well, I'm glad it fits you. You can wear 4th grade Halloween costumes.
Totally.
Everybody wore costumes to school, and there was at one point a bunch of classrooms just went on this little walk from our elementary school through a field to like a nearby shopping center and walked around like a little Halloween parade kind of walk thing. I remember that specifically because I was like, why the fuck are we doing this? But then after school, we were already in our costumes to go trick-or-treating.
That seems more efficient, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to be in costume all day. You're not just looking at like the same assholes you're always looking at. You're looking at Silk Pajama Ninja Rob.
It's one of the many Robs in existence, yeah.
That's a treat. I still pull that
Misty,
one out
how about you?
time.
I don't remember being able to dress up for school. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure we did not. I think I did what Livius did. So we would come home and change. I did not know that Halloween trick-or-treating is not on the 31st anymore. When did that happen?
I mean, here in Illinois, in the suburbs, like 20 years ago.
Really?
I don't want to blame 9/11, but...
It didn't help.
Didn't help. Not at all.
That was an Arrested Development throwback. But yeah, no, we dressed up and would go around the neighborhood. I think, and my memory is not great on this, but there were kids in the neighborhood that my brother and I were friends with, and I'm pretty confident that there was a select group of parents that would monitor us, and a whole group of like 10 kids would go around the neighborhood together. So it was fun. It was not scary at all. We didn't have you know how people talk about like scary houses, and my cousin Jennifer, I think, like they're notorious in their neighborhood for making a really creepy setup to scare people. Mm-hmm. We did not have that in my neighborhood. It was all very friendly.
In my neighborhood, we had gang members, so it was always scary. Well, no, I'm serious. So, that's what you're saying. Yeah, yes. That leads me to a different question. Were eggs and shaving cream part of Halloween? See, Misty's. This might be a local thing, Rob. This might be okay.
So, that was not a tradition limited to Halloween, but it was out in force on Halloween.
Oh, sure.
That's like when.
Yep.
Yeah. So you never egged a house, Misty?
No, actually, never ever. I have toilet papered, but it had nothing to do with Halloween.
Right. No, that's more of a homecoming, right? Homecoming? Is that when you toilet paper someone's house? I think it's homecoming.
Or just, on a Saturday.
You're like, we got way too much TP laying around. What are we going to do with this?
That's, yeah. There's got to be a way to get rid of it. Exactly. No, in Chicago, like you couldn't, if you were under probably 25, you couldn't find someone to sell you shaving cream around Halloween.
Yeah, it was locked down in the stores.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yep. Yeah, they would not let you buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, eggs and shaving cream and then bag snatching, where older kids would come by and steal your bag full of candy.
That's horrible.
Yeah. It seems like in Texas they have more respect for Halloween than they did in Chicago. And in the suburbs.
Handguns, so.
I literally was about to say, I think it's because we all have guns.
Yeah, that's probably a good point. But no, it was very traditional, and the thing I saw earlier on the news was in Chicago, and I only caught a snippet of this on the local news. I caught the tail end of it. But apparently they're trying to do away with trick-or-treating altogether, and they want to do something, I don't remember what they call it, trick-or-trunk or something, where they're doing it at a park, where all the families can bring their candy, and local businesses could, and kids would just go around the park and get their...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So... Actually, I'm so glad you said that. We had that at church, and I'm pretty sure they still do. Churches probably still do that. They do their own Halloween trick-or-treating, and it's either in their parking lot or in the auditorium, and they set up things. Yes, I can see.
I'm okay with that. So if a group of people, if a church or a business or the mall or whatever wants to set something up like that, I'm totally cool with it. This just seemed like this neighborhood was trying to stop the practice of trick-or-treating altogether and centralize it in whatever park is local to them. Which I just think, look, I'm an adult. I'm 45 years old, okay? I have never worked on Halloween, so I take Halloween pretty goddamn seriously. I feel like that started when I was a kid, and it started with traditions and some of the other things we're going to talk about, right? Horror movies and costumes and whatever. And I think that the kids who are kids today are not going to have the same enthusiasm for Halloween when they're older, based on the fact that it's really become a watered down experience. And for, we got to protect the children. Yeah, great. But it seems like so here's the thing. It seems like if we just put a little more effort into keeping kids safe on Halloween, one day a year for 3 hours, like they could still have that experience instead of all the effort we're putting into watering it down to, you can only go to your local businesses or you have to go to this park to get your Halloween experience. Seems kind of lame.
Well, I guess that raises a question for me because so first, did you guys ever trick or treat without an adult supervising?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, Misty? Or, well,
no. Even when I remember the last year I trick-or-treated, I was in junior high. I think I was 13. I dressed up as Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
And,
So Misty, let me ask you a question.
And my parents were with us.
What was your excuse the following 4 years when you dressed like Alanis Morissette nearly after that? So
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, no, we did it on our own, and we did it I think at one point we were like 15 or 16. But it was more like, let's get dressed up, have some fun, and then we'd kind of like hit some house. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we were trick-or-treating for the candy at that point anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, we were more fucking around and still like being respectful of people's homes and whatnot, but kind of doing it almost as a goof rather than reality.
I was like in middle school going out trick-or-treating, like with me and like my brother and a friend. Like, like I think that once the parents believed that we understood the mechanics of walking door to door, asking for candy, they're like,
and being polite, yeah.
They're like, come back before dark.
And Rob grew up in a pretty nice suburb. I mean, like you weren't in a. Well, I'm just saying in comparison, like.
Safe.
No offense. Where I grew up was probably a little bit of a rougher neighborhood. Misty, there are cows down the street from where she grew up. But you had a nice middle of the road suburb, I'm assuming. Yeah, so.
Yeah, there was no danger in my neighborhood.
Mine neither.
But, yeah, so there was a point where I think the parents were just like, go, they told us, all right, go up this road, go down this road. Make sure you're back before dark. And maybe there was a flashlight, in case it got a little bit dark, and I don't know, like, but there was no, so like, for me that seems common, but then I guess the contradiction I'm seeing is if parents always go with the kids, how are the kids not safe? You know what I'm saying? If that's the thing right now, are the parents basically saying, I am not competent to protect my child? Or is everybody not safe? Or are they just fucking tired of... Because if I was a parent, I'd be like, this bullshit again? Like, I wouldn't want to... I just wouldn't want to do it.
I don't know. I mean, so the thing happened, right? There were razor blades in candy, 25 years ago, or I think it's been about 25 years since that happened. So, I mean, I still think it's important to check the candy. But, yeah, I mean, take your kids out, man. Take them trick-or-treating and fucking do it on Halloween. Like forget whatever the rules are in your neighborhood. Just go do it.
Nobody has any candy ready. None of
the
lights are on.
This is what doors. So originally, Misty, and we didn't get into it very far. That's what the eggs were for. You would egg houses that didn't have candy. We didn't get far enough into it, but yeah, you would egg and shaving cream. Like shaving cream really turned into something you threw at your friends or some other neighborhood kids. But the eggs were pretty much reserved for
that sucked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And they fucking deserved it.
Yeah. So I think that everyone should go out and buy 2 or 3 cartons of eggs. Do it now and leave them out. Don't refrigerate them. So that by Halloween they're ripe enough. If that house doesn't have candy on the 31st, light them up. I fully support this.
Yeah. I think you got a point.
I get very angry about the Halloween thing. Like I do. I honestly think that. Yeah.
Oh.
Do you see it as like the values of the country are going away or something? We're losing a part of our identity.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we're taking the fun out of it for kids. Really, I mean, look, you guys are a little younger than me. I don't know if you ever had to wear the mask that was that terrible plastic with the rubber band behind your head. Like so we've come a long way in costumes.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Monster. And then you had like a apron. Like a little plastic thing you put on. It was just like the rest of the costume was drawn onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
cute.
That was the cookie.
It was the like kids equivalent of the tuxedo T-shirt.
Exactly.
But like you had to tie it behind you with these little plastic strings.
Yeah, like an apron almost.
Yeah. costumes now, I've taken kids shopping. They're all cloth. They're like really nice. They look fairly authentic.
Sometimes
they always have to be like a little off.
Pajamas.
Sometimes they can be like satin pajamas, yeah. But so we've improved that way. But in every other facet, we've taken a step back. Yeah. It's time to make Halloween great again. Did I get that emphasis with the?
I mean, you really working the microphone on that one.
Yeah,
I guess that's fine.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this. So.
So
let's talk about the candy aspect of Halloween. Livius, you seem like you were pretty enthusiastic about the trick or treating. Can we? And this is just me having never paid attention to, the whole phrase "trick or treat" that you're supposed to say. Can either of you explain why that's said or what it means, or have you ever been tricked? It's always been treat for me. So
it's I believe the trick or treat is actually sort of a threat.
The trick is the egg.
It is.
Yeah, no, essentially that's it. Either you can provide some type of sugary sustenance for me, or we will do bad things to your house. And I definitely believe that's the origin of trick or treat.
Huh. All right.
And the trick wasn't your fly's open and you look and it's not or whatever. It's usually something a little more, more foul than that. So let's set up.
Yeah.
Or eggs.
Because I can't I feel like I always followed the tradition of saying it because it was that magic key that unlocked free food.
You had to say it.
Yeah,
you had to.
You can't just be that little asshole that just opens their bag. I mean, you could.
Exactly.
I think you could. But you're probably not getting the same as the enthusiastic kids. When it comes to why are you looking like that, Livius?
Because this is the saddest thing ever.
He got tricked.
I found out. Guys, this is terrible.
Here we go.
As for trick or treating, traditions beginning in the Middle Ages, children and sometimes poor adults would dress up in the aforementioned costumes and go around door to door during Hallowmas, begging for food or money in exchange for songs and prayers often said on behalf of the dead. This was called souling, and the children were called soulers. S-O-U-L. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awful. Poor people would go around, essentially begging for food and exchanging a song for food. Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. This is terrible.
Wow, you turned around.
He's off Halloween!
Fuck Halloween. Jesus, man.
Just because you had a bougie Halloween, you never knew the
sad
origins. And then rich people were like, wait, our kids can get free food too. And then...
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
The British hate Halloween, apparently. In 2006, a survey found that over half of British homeowners turn off their lights and pretend not to be home on Halloween.
Oh, shit.
It's cranky Brits.
Oh, my God. The things I'm learning.
It's a good thing that you didn't take your vacation later, Livius, because you would have been walking around England trying to get free candy, getting that British cold shoulder.
That would have been terrible. All right. So are we good on we're talking about candy. Sorry. I'm over the trick or treat. Let's talk about candy.
He is really over Halloween at this point.
He's like, can we just end this? It's been 20 minutes. We're good, right?
Holy shit. Those poor people begging for food. All right.
So speaking of food.
Let's talk about candy.
Yeah. What was the did you ever what was the best? What was the best possible haul that you could get?
The real candy, like Snickers and Three Musketeers and Twix and those. That's where it's at. Even though they were the fun size, I'll take the fun size all day. But then you had those bitches that gave you Tootsie Rolls and Dum Dums.
So I want to explain something to you youngins. When I started trick or treating, fun size didn't exist. Fun size came a little bit later.
How old are you again?
When I started trick or but the thing is, fun size, it's something that came about probably when I was like, Rob, look this up. See if you can see when fun size candy.
1947.
Yes, 1947. No, it probably would have been. It probably would have been in the early 80s. Yeah. So you got a lot of Tootsie Rolls, And you got a lot of weird candy that you've never seen before, like
Bottle
suckers
cap.
with no label.
I hated bottle caps.
Bottle caps. But you
Fucking
did get...
circus peanuts.
I don't
Never
really...
gotten these circus peanuts.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten circus peanuts. How would those be packaged?
I don't know. They were loose.
People threw nuts in your, like...
No,
like
not peanuts. The circuit peanut candy. Circuit. The little orange. It's shaped like a...
Yeah.
Ew.
But,
Ew,
like,
the
not
marshmallow
individually
thing.
wrapped?
I don't know.
Like, someone just dropped some Skittles in your bag? Like, just 6 Skittles? Here you go, kid.
You're like, why are they all blue?
Yeah.
I don't know what color Skittles are, so that could be way wrong.
But I do remember, and I still believe that Sixlets, one of my favorite candies, is essentially a Halloween candy. Like, they're not easy to find. You don't just walk into the... Really?
Yeah.
Rob?
Don't let Stephen Graham Jones hear you say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of the
His
things Stephen
favorite
and I have in common. Yeah. It's what endeared me to Stephen Graham Jones. It wasn't the writing. It was our shared love of Sixlets.
I'm not getting anywhere on the history of fun size. We may have to table that.
But I can tell you, when I was in elementary school, fun size candy did not exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither did the internet.
Also true.
Well, me too, but
yeah.
I was going to say.
It's also true. So.
Did you ever get money?
No.
Yep. Oh yeah.
We had
you get a few pennies.
I had the elusive dollar bill house. There was someone giving out dollar bills. I was like, what magic is this? And then, you couldn't go back. We were like, can we go back? Do you think they'll tell if we do we change costumes?
You guys remember how exciting it used to be to find a quarter? And now, quite honestly, most people, at least me and Rob, out of shape motherfuckers like us, we won't even bend over and pick one up if we see it. We'll just walk right past that shit. It's only a quarter.
I'd be
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, some other fool will pick up that quarter.
Yeah.
Fool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's not for me. Yeah, getting a quarter. Yeah. I got.
What was your favorite
this year?
What was your favorite Halloween candy as a kid, Rob?
I'm with Misty. It was just getting the top brands was the way to go, and then every now and then you'd get an actual full on Snickers, and you're like, holy shit! And then you ate it first, and then it was just better. That's
what I would get from the people who lived in the apartment building. They knew I'd come around. I pretty much for the most time was the only kid there. Well, but you know what I mean. But they knew I'd show up trick or treating. Yeah, exactly. It probably is. So I'm glad you said that. It probably didn't hurt that. It probably didn't hurt that my parents owned the apartment building. So I probably got some. Yeah, I probably got a little bit of special treatment.
Well, that's some new information.
That being said, but I do remember, when you guys were talking about candy, what we did have a lot of that we didn't have fun size was those little mini Hershey's. They had the Hershey's, the dark chocolate, the crackle, and Mr.
I'd take all of those.
Mr. What was he? Mr. Goodbar? No,
it is.
Goodbar?
Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah. Which I still don't like to this day. I don't like Mr. Goodbar. I have a place I go to fairly often, and they always have a bowl of the Hershey's things, and nobody else does either because it's the dark chocolate and the Mr. Good bars are there. Wait, everyone takes the crackle.
Get out of here! I hate the crackle. The Crunch Bar is the biggest waste of time. I don't even see them on the shelves anymore. Do they exist?
Yeah, they do.
Ugh, they're gross.
What is a Mr. Good bar anyway?
It's just milk chocolate and peanuts, and it's wonderful, and I like them.
Yeah, I'm not a big peanut guy. Unless they're circus peanuts.
It's my least favorite of the nuts or legumes or whatever you call them. Yeah. But when they're in chocolate.
Everything's better with chocolate, right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I would have to say Sixlets. I was really excited about Sixlets. We get a lot of Bazooka Joe bubble gum.
Oh, we got gum and Starburst. Ew, they're so gross. Peanuts. It's like the Peeps.
Yeah,
but
with
Peeps
flavor.
They serve in hell is what they are.
Yeah. They're Peeps, but flavored Peeps because Peeps just taste like nothing.
Mm.
So
yeah. Here you go. Costumes. I think, is the next thing that I wanted to. It segues nicely from going to. I have a couple of lists of the most offensive costumes, and since we're actually working in a visual medium, I figured we could actually all look at the costumes together and maybe have a discussion about them.
Yes.
So I have two separate lists, and Livius, you got something to say?
No, once you bring up the one list, the offensive list is what I will call it, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to play a game with Misty, where I will ask Misty a question regarding each of these costumes, and we'll see what her answer is.
Oh, crap.
I'm struggling internally right now to choose which one that I go with first.
I knew this was a setup.
So
Rob and I did not discuss this. This came to me when he was bringing... Yeah.
He because I was testing screen sharing, and he got to see he got to see behind the curtain, so.
Son of a bee.
All right, so I have to do a little mojo here so that you guys can see what I'm seeing. And we'll look at two lists, and we'll just have we'll see what discussion comes out of this. Missy is pre-disappointed. This is exciting.
It's just nerves. It's just nerves.
Well, don't worry. It won't last too long. All right. Let's see if this is... What are you guys seeing? Is it just me right now?
No, I'm seeing an article of the most offensive and inappropriate...
All right. Good. Can you guys... Oh.
Eye-opening photo gallery.
All right, cool. I think that this is causing a little bit of lag in the video.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
That's okay.
We'll go through this quickly then. So here's the first list. And so the first one we see here is, as it's kind of captioned here, O.J. Simpson, Nicole Brown, and their child. Probably a bad idea, right?
Well, blackface is always a bad idea.
Yeah.
All right. So
I can say that this one probably everybody's like, "Whoa, that was a bad idea."
So here's where I'd like to start our little game, Misty. In your hometown, is this an offensive costume in Texas?
What a dick.
Yeah.
In my hometown, yes. In East Texas, no.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fair. But that's what I was trying to get at. Okay. All right.
Ready for
let's move on to costume number 2. That, by the way, if you go back for a second, this is this isn't like, who could even understand what's happening in this? Like, it's not even like, okay, it's offensive, but it's not even offensive. Like, if you showed me this, I would not have come up with O.J. Simpson and Nicole Simpson and the kid. Like, it just would have been, I don't know, some kind of clusterfuck. Like, I don't know who
Agreed.
thought this was, yeah.
Agree. And actually, when it first came up, I got excited, and maybe it's just because there've been like the release of the trailer happened. No. I got sorry. I should have started differently.
She's like, finally.
I thought it was. I didn't notice the guy at first. I saw the woman and holding a baby, and I assumed this was going to be a Pet Cemetery situation, and that was Gage, like killing the mom, but it's just because Dennis and the trailer came out, and so that's in my brain.
Fair
and
enough.
I'm very disappointed about what this actually is.
Sorry to disappoint.
Noted. We just lost 12 listeners in Texas.
Well, let's see how you feel about the next costume. There's a guy
Dressed as Hitler?
dressed as Hitler. I mean, it's just, I don't even think it's super offensive. It's just kind of stupid,
I
right?
actually, yeah, I don't,
It's just
I
like,
can see so many people finding that ironic or some bullshit. Yeah, so.
All right, so Misty, is this costume offensive in Texas?
picking up a trend here.
All right, we'll take that as a yes.
I have to give this guy
does this
points.
have a date?
Listen, yeah.
I kind of feel like yeah. See, it's from 3 hours ago. It's not even a Halloween costume.
This is even, yeah. This,
he just went out like this.
Yeah.
you got to give this guy points for authenticity, though, because Hitler definitely did put his armband onto his coat with safety pins.
A safety pin?
Yeah. So, good for him. And he probably had a bathroom that looked just like that.
Pretty sure that swastika is drawn with a Sharpie, too.
Yeah, it's possible.
That is a purple loofah in that picture, by the way. Very authentic. Very authentic.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for
All
him.
right, let's see what the next offensive costume is.
This one is just two chicks who put on flannels and made it look like they were homeless.
I don't really see the offensive part.
Yeah.
No, I don't either. They just look like hoes.
Kind of look like hoes.
And you know what? Hoe it up. That's what Halloween is for.
Yeah.
For, ladies a lot of the time. So go on. Good.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
Go on, get it.
I saw a meme yesterday that said it's Halloween, slut up or shut up. So,
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
And I've done it, so I can't judge. So.
Missy has both slutted up and shut up. All right, let's see. Here
What?
is a woman that says Trump can grab my with an arrow pointing to her.
Livius, that's the question.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and ask the question. Misty, is this offensive in Texas?
Pretty sure that's the #1 couple's costume in Texas.
Yeah. I did not see this earlier. This is not why I asked, but I was just thinking that's probably
That
not.
is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny. Yeah.
They're at a nice garage party. You can see the garage door behind them.
Yep.
There's some potato chips in the background. Very authentic Halloween party. Here is a woman dressed like a sexy cop. And we might as well just go right to the question, Livius.
Misty. Is that you in the picture?
Did you slut up for this?
I was on Border Patrol.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume this is not. I'm not even going to ask. I'm going to assume this is not offensive in Texas.
You don't need to ask.
Okay.
Well, they're a couple, too, which is just even more. Maybe this is what they do in the bedroom, too.
I was going to say,
Keep it
this
spicy.
is Friday night. Yeah.
All right, next one we have getting more political. Here's a little boy dressed as Donald Trump and a little girl dressed as a inmate.
Let me tell you, the Bennetts would love that.
All I want to say is, but that's the thing. So I've seen, and of course, because Halloween's coming up, I've seen it for a few years. These like really cool costumes for kids, right? Like the kid is dressed like Chucky, and from the horror movies, and he looks really authentic. But like, is the kid even enjoying it? Like, I'm not sure that these two, like that little girl, I'm pretty sure did not want to put on a prison outfit and pearls.
She's not on the winning end of this costume duo.
And same thing for the boy. Like, all right, whatever. In his family, Trump supporters, whatever. I can't imagine that he picked this over Iron Man or Batman or being a fireman or a vampire or whatever it is that, I just can't.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
He's like everybody else is fucking Captain America, and I get to be this douchebag president.
Yeah.
All right, next one. We have a little kid.
Is he Osama?
Dressed with a long beard and TNT strapped around their chest.
Is he Bin Laden?
I think he's just a little terrorist.
He's some type of terrorist. So we already know this isn't offensive in Texas. But again, how do you think that kid?
But really, is it even offensive in America? That's the question.
I mean, I'm not super big fan of that.
Oh no, I was, and I'm being sarcastic, but whoa.
See, like I said, the thing I don't like about this is that I can't imagine that's what that kid picked. This is this
definitely
kid's
not
red ninja outfit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, this is what I have to wear because this is what my parents got me, the costume they made me. So at least I have a costume, but I'm not feeling it. Look at it. He's dead in the eyes. Look at it.
Yeah. Soulless.
Yeah,
He's not getting any candy like that, too. He knows. The odds are set.
No, he said, dude, listen, this is in the South. Clearly it's in the South. Look at that guy's jeans in the background. It's in the South.
Yeah.
I love all the top offensive costumes. South.
All right. I just noticed this, and you guys can back me up on this. I don't know how you can see this, how well you can see this picture.
I just saw it myself.
On that little post, is that a condom?
Oh!
I mean, a small condom?
Really not. I think it must be a sprinkler cover because it looks like one of those like sprinklers that's like on a street. And I wonder if they didn't know what time the sprinklers were going to go off and wanted to make sure that the kids
So they put
didn't
a condom
get
on it?
Listen.
This is
could
Mrs.
be
life we're talking about, right? You never know when it's going to go off.
You got to be prepared.
Well, bravo. They did a great job. All right, next one. I don't know how many there are, so we're just going to keep going. The woman's dressed like a strawberry, the kid's dressed like the Hulk, and this dude, blackface, Mr. T, I'm guessing, right? Really, like, the worst.
Is that
Look,
what that
Is that what it's supposed to be?
I
I'm
don't
going
know.
off the hair. I'm just going off the
Oh
hair.
yeah, it's totally Mr. T. Look at the chains around his neck.
Yeah.
But you know what? I got to be honest with you. I don't even find this offensive. This is so ludicrous. It's not even offensive.
And yeah, I'm kind of in agreement. It's just silly. I think they're trying to be silly.
Is there a washing machine in the kitchen?
It absolutely is. 100%.
Do people... I think that there's a lot more going on in the background of the photos than with
Yeah.
the costumes. At least the kid doesn't suffer in this one. That's a bonus.
I mean, he's in blackface too. If you look closely.
All right, I'm going to move on. This woman is a mail order bride.
Actually, I find that darling.
I think it's really well executed.
I love it.
Yeah.
I actually am super jealous that I've never done that. That is awesome.
Well, you're not.
What?
I mean, it would be cultural appropriation if you did it, Misty.
Yeah, you can't do that
Yeah.
because you're not.
That and hoop earrings, not for you.
Not for you. The one thing I will point out.
I don't find it offensive. I think it's adorable.
Yeah, I don't see anything
Yeah.
wrong with this. The thing
No,
I like
it's good.
most, one of the things I like most about this, if you look, the guy's got his arm around the girl and he's holding like a pimp cane with like a green top.
I didn't even notice. I was
Yeah.
looking at his fanny pack.
Fanny pack plus pimp cane with a mail order.
Love. I love it.
This man is
I
living
actually
his
love
best
it.
life.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love all of it.
All right,
Agreed.
moving on. There we go.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. No, that is not no. Love it.
This is
Who
not
is this
offensive.
even offensive to? Pumpkins?
Yeah,
People
exactly.
who don't eat pumpkins?
Guy's named Peter.
Peters? Yeah. No, I'm happy with
Well
this.
executed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thumbs
it's
up for this
adorable.
one. We're going to move on. This one, yeah. This is... all they're missing is a bag of Skittles, right?
Misty, I think they find this offensive in Texas too.
Yeah, even in
Holy
Texas,
shit.
Yeah,
this one's...
I actually, nope, that's rejected.
And what is this girl? Like how?
Yeah, who is she?
Some leprechaun woman in the
Pied
middle.
Piper? I don't get it. What is she?
And this guy couldn't afford a D on his shirt, so he's in the Neighbor Who watch.
It's
We're moving on.
can't.
We're
Can't.
moving on from this one. A little boy dressed as a male stripper, which I just find precious. But
Yeah,
again,
that's
he
not
didn't choose that costume.
I don't know if I find it precious. I see the humor in it, but actually, like, they're clearly walking around a neighborhood, and that alarms me.
You know he's going home with those two girls. They're
For
not,
sure.
They're not going home with a skeleton kid.
He's got money in his underwear.
Yeah.
They're going home with
They
him.
probably put
This
it
is how
there.
this is how life works.
Yeah. So this picture was taken 5 minutes ago.
Nice.
All right. Are there more? Okay. Apparently this one is just a couple of fat ladies in white blackface holding a duck. Like
It is a baby.
adults
Yeah,
painting
I
their
don't-
faces black, whatever. Not really going to
Yeah.
linger on.
Yeah.
I think we all agree. All right. That was the
All
last
right,
one
yeah.
on this list.
Yep.
All right.
So
that
I
was-
thought they would be more offensive in general. Like I
mean-
really thought there would be more.
It was the Neighborhood Watch one that was really like... That was
That one did
definitely
it
the
for me.
worst.
For sure.
A
For
lot
sure.
of
Yeah.
the other ones were just kind of bumbling stupidity, but that Neighborhood Watch one just should never have happened.
All right.
Are we ready for the next offensive costume list?
We are ready.
We're going to go through this one a little faster. All right. 15 offensive Halloween costumes that you shouldn't wear. This is from This Is Insider. I think the Insider is the name of the website. So here we go. Here's a busty woman dressed in a sombrero. It's kind of a sombrero, right? Is all I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is she, a tequila saleswoman? I don't get it.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just got a Mexican kind of theme, and they're like, "Hey, back off."
Oh, so it's racist?
Yeah. Well, you're going to notice a
I
theme
mean-
with this list.
I'm pretty sure that most Hispanic men wouldn't find this terribly offensive.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really going to.
No man is finding that.
I don't really think the women are going
Situation.
to go after this either.
No, actually, I don't find that offensive at all. So
Yeah.
what's next? What they got?
Here we go. The Dreamcatcher costume. I'm gonna.
Oh, actually, I appreciate this very much. Why is this offensive? The dreams are in the bosoms. You know what?
So
The dirty pillows
She's catching the
are where
dreams.
dreams are made.
I
This is
think
beautiful. This
I
is
think
great.
I think this list might be cultural appropriation, which is
Yeah,
not something
no,
I
it
believe
is.
in at all.
All
So
right,
I don't.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it, but okay, so it's just
So basically, what it's saying is you can't have big cans and dress like Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Yeah.
But why is that offensive? Because if your favorite Disney movie growing up was Pocahontas, but you happen to be pasty skinned, why can't you dress up as Pocahontas?
Because this list tells you not to.
I don't like that. I don't like it.
All right, we're gonna move on. We'll see if this, if we take a turn on this, if it goes anywhere else. Oh no! What happened to the rest of my pictures?
Woo!
We may have an issue here. Hold on a second.
Dun,
There we
dun,
go. All right.
dun.
Oh, that's the shot one we saw
The
before.
repeat.
Here we go. Arab chic.
Wow!
I think what Misty is trying to say is if it's a woman, they can wear whatever the hell they want as long as they've got some cleavage. No one's going to be offended.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly. This is offensive. Not to me,
Harmful to
maybe to someone
reinforce
else.
negative and misconceived notions about region, religion, or group of people, like this Kmart costume.
Oh, I like how they called out Kmart. Is that the
Yeah,
only
Kmart
company
shaming.
selling it?
Yeah.
Kmart
Listen,
shaming.
this isn't a guy who's wearing that costume because, this is like the cover of the costume because the costumes never look that nice. This is like the model on the front of the costume. Yeah.
All right, next one.
Yep.
There you go. It's a geisha.
Yeah, it is.
Nothing
I
wrong
don't-
with a geisha.
According to this, cultural appropriation. So next one, the Rasta costume kid.
You know what? I don't even find that offensive.
Nobody does.
Oh, that guy looks like a clown.
I see. Okay,
Clowns find that offensive.
this list reminds me of people being overly sensitive. That's what this is.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's coming after that. This costume, which depicts Anne Frank, is insensitive and offensive.
What if that's her favorite book? You know
What
they
if she's
read that in
inspired?
elementary school. Exactly. She's inspired by the story of resilience and the human spirit. Whatever.
They sold none of this costume. Zero of this costume were sold.
Because no one's like, what do you really, what's the costume you want more than anything in the world? No little girl's like, well, Anne Frank, duh.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
What do you know?
Dia de los Beauty.
Sugar
costume.
Skull! I love this. This is precious. What's wrong with people?
Let's see what it says here. If you're not Mexican, it would be offensive for you to dress in a Day of the Dead inspired garb.
It's
this
not
costume.
true. That is not true.
Right. Well, I think that if it,
Spoken like a true white girl.
Okay, sorry. I'm
Shit.
saying that as like, okay, obviously in Texas, I know a lot of not just Hispanics but Mexicans, and the Sugar Skull thing is sorry, I can't talk about this. I am white. I get it, but I know people that would not find that offensive. And what if you just enjoy that holiday? I don't know.
I am willing to wager there are more white sugar skull girls than there are Hispanic sugar skull girls.
100%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least that are wearing those type of tights. Or whatever those are.
I love those. They're great.
All right, next one. This. I don't know what's better about this, that it's a giant fat ballerina, or that it's obviously like a dude wearing the costume. Like,
Why? Okay, I just read the thing. Try to avoid costumes that could be interpreted as body shaming. What if he's trying to say, be proud of your body.
Yeah.
You be who you are.
I'm pretty sure that's not what anybody who's buying that costume is trying to say.
You can be a fatty ballerina.
Yeah.
Obvious, you be quiet.
You can
Try
wear,
hard enough.
You can wear white socks with your ballerina costume if you want to. That's
Is he the cover of the
Maybe you.
costume? Because that...
He's gotta be. I think all of these are just clipped from like a website that sells costumes.
because who stands in front of a perfectly white background?
It's true.
That guy. All right, here we go. Costume. Misogynistic implications.
Oh, man, you know what? As a woman, I find that hilarious.
Yeah. Moving on. All right. The Stranger Things Halloween costume caused a controversy as people claimed that it sexualized a 12-year-old character from the show.
Oh, motherfucker. It does, and I love 11. I think we all, well, Olivia, did you, I know, Rob, you don't like Stranger Things, do you?
I didn't really care for it.
But Livius, you do.
I like Stranger Things well enough. I thought it got better. Like season 2, I liked better than season 1, actually.
Yeah. I totally get wanting to be 11, even as an adult. And I'm sorry, but the expectation, not saying it's an okay expectation, but, you know, you want to dazzle it a little bit.
I'm pretty sure that's not even a real woman, right? That's a doll, like a Barbie doll.
It does look plasticky.
I don't know the hand here. Here's my question: what is the sexualization? Is it that you can see part of her skin on her legs, or I'm asking because I 100% don't know because I'm not familiar with Stranger Things.
High socks are sexualized.
Oh, it's the socks.
Yeah, so and not to mention that dress is basically up to her crotch.
I didn't realize how sexy my socks were. Because they don't go quite up to my thighs, but they come like up over my calf. And I didn't realize that I was sexing it up.
You're objectifying yourself.
I am.
For years, you've been turning yourself into a sex object. All right, let's see if there's anything else here. Oh, yeah, snake charmer costume. Again, it's a costume, right?
Yeah, snake charmers all over have to be really offended by this.
And snakes. Look, there's an actual snake there, so...
And he looks a little large. Like a snake. I don't know. Okay.
Wait, what looks large?
The snake. Like, doesn't it look like really, like, fat?
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
Like the rest of the snake can't possibly be in that bag?
Pretty much. I'm having a problem with... Okay. I don't find this offensive, but I don't know a lot of snake charmers.
I think almost everybody's going to let this one go.
No, listen. The snake moves, because if you look, it's a fake hand, which means his real arm is up inside the snake, so he can articulate it.
Yes!
I love this costume.
Like, that makes it better.
So he's probably going to bite people.
Yeah.
Like, I bet his hand is up in there, and he's going to, like...
Good Lord, let's move on.
All right, next one. Sexy convict.
How is that offensive? That's beautiful.
Trivializing the U.S. prison system.
That's garbage. Move on. I can't even address that. That is not what that means.
Misty's like, that's what I wear on Thursday nights when I'm not on this podcast.
Misty's like, it's good I went with the Dresden Doll shirt.
That has nothing to do with the prison system. Let's move on.
Hey, I learned recently those boots are sexy.
They are.
Because they're almost to her thigh.
No, anything that... Trust me.
Oh my God.
Anything that comes up the leg, up to the... even booties. Booties. So, let me tell you. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I don't know what a booty is, apparently.
I mean, the booty is like the thing you grab that's at the top of the leg.
Okay. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm saying like the shoes. The ankle boots.
Oh. Okay. I got you. Yeah, okay. All right, here's the next one. Restrained
Animal lecture?
Yeah. Reinforces harmful misconceptions about mental illness in prison.
And cannibals. Fucking cannibals are outraged by this costume.
Is this list a joke? Because that's ridiculous.
Well, I'm the most worried about the surprise dick hole down here, but like... Like, look at that hole in his jeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's conspicuously placed.
Yeah. Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That guy's definitely like, I've got an itch. Can you help me scratch this? Can't get to it.
Well, that's how they let him. That's how he pees. All right. All right, here we go. You wouldn't make fun of a homeless person on the street. Now, they're making some assumptions there. Like, you get the right homeless person, you might make fun of them. You probably shouldn't dress like a hobo nightmare on Halloween. Hobo nightmare. What do you guys think about this?
I think that this list is, like Misty said, it's ridiculous, and I think it's almost clickbaity in its ridiculousness.
Well,
Yeah.
Wait for the icing on the cake.
I'm so excited.
This gorilla
Is that
costume
it?
would be innocuous, but calling this a Harambe costume would be insulting.
Oh, for heaven's sake. You know what? Trading places.
Yeah.
That was Trading Places. Get out.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Done. I think that's the end of the list. That's the end of the list.
That's
Yeah.
that's the trump card?
Yeah.
Can you real quickly before you stop sharing your screen scroll back to the Hooters costume?
He wants to see if he wants to use it.
Droopers?
Yep. Now, would you go ahead and close your screen? Like, stop screen sharing?
Stop screen sharing. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Okay, I can see it.
What is this?
Is that a woman wearing it?
There were 4 women wearing this costume in New Orleans last year.
That is
Get outta
awesome.
here.
Nope, I think it was 4 or 5 of them. I only snuck a picture of this one. I felt bad I was going to ask for a picture, but everybody was asking. But yeah, so there you go.
There you go. So it's not controversial. It's popular.
It is very popular.
I'm glad if enough people like it, right? I've learned that. I live in America. I don't know. No,
Fair,
right.
fair enough. Fair enough. No, I like that point.
Okay, so we all agreed on a couple of the offensive costumes. You guys think of any other costumes that are offensive, and what makes them offensive? So I'll go first. I can't really think of too many costumes that are offensive. And even if they were perceived as offensive, I think that if they're done tongue in cheek, they just don't find
you're
it.
Megyn Kelly. You're being Megyn Kelly right now is what you're doing, right?
I am going to assume. So I know Megyn Kelly's in a little bit of hot water about some blackface stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what the whole story is, so no, I'm not. I'm totally not.
So just restate what you said about when it's okay.
Like I said, if it's done in a way that's not meant to be offensive, like that's the whole thing. Like I think intent has a little bit to do with offense, right? Like I think that
your yard from your neighbor's yard offense.
Yes.
Like context.
Right. Yeah. Well, like you said, your intention. The neighborhood watch picture. The intention of that was to be just nasty and fucking harmful. The guy that was dressed like Mr. T, I don't think had that same intention. And I think that's the difference between what I would find offensive is the intent.
And now we're having an intelligent conversation about it. Yeah, I agree.
So that's almost exactly what Megyn Kelly said about doing blackface, and that's why she got fired.
She's not fired. I saw she's negotiating her way out of NBC and probably back to Fox News. The article that I saw.
We'll welcome her with warm arms, open arms.
I'm sure there's room between Hannity and Judge Janine or whatever her name is for Megyn Kelly. I thought she burned her bridges at Fox. I thought that's how she ended up on NBC.
This is probably her getting back into their good graces.
There you go.
So, so far, I feel like this has gone wonderfully. I'm very happy with everything that's gone on. I'm very happy with this. I'm excited. But usually we do a little bit of homework as far as watching something or reading something. And this year, I think we didn't necessarily do homework as much as we all kind of just chose to watch the same thing. So I feel like it wasn't extra work. But something.
Loving this even more.
I wonder if there's a way I can just show Livius.
Good gracious, what a handsome bastard. Look at that thing.
There it is. We're now just displaying Livius.
Woo! I didn't know there was a whole vest happening.
I was muted. This is traditional Romanian podcasting attire. So this is what I usually wear when I'm podcasting.
Missy, were you trying to look lower?
When I was a kid, I thought you could do that.
Look at what he was wearing below the waist.
No.
You're trying to see if he's wearing thigh-high socks. I know what's going on.
You got me.
You're looking
there we go.
There. Come on. Come the fuck on.
There we go.
What a cliche. What a Romanian... Romanian cliche.
That's it. This is it. It's Thursday night. I got my cape on.
Amazon.
Yep.
Traditional Romanian headphones too, I'm guessing.
Correct.
Yeah.
I even matched my.
Oh, come
Get
on.
out of here. What a
I told you I
turn.
love Halloween.
Too much. We're gonna
I'm
need.
so happy about this.
I'm gonna need a full head to toe photo of this ensemble.
I can do
for the
that.
record. Yeah, for posterity.
I could do that.
Haunting of Hill House.
Yes,
You guys watch this series?
I did.
I binged it. I watched it all in 10 straight hours, starting at like 7 o'clock one night. So I was up until like 4 in the morning, or however the math works out.
It's hard.
Math is hard after drinking for a while. Did you guys watch it recently, or how did you watch it? What was your watching style? Your viewing style? Livius, you didn't watch it all in one shot.
I did not. I actually watched one episode on my way back from Europe on the airplane, and then I was watching like two to three each day, and then I had a weird where I got really busy and I had to hold off on that last episode for 3 or 4 days. So I finished it on Monday morning, I think, before I went to work.
Missy?
It took me about a week, but it was because I traveled last week for work. So I would have binged it more efficiently, but I didn't have time when I was in Springfield. So, but yeah, it was a pretty fast watch for sure. It was easy consuming.
Where Springfield? Where?
Wait.
What Springfield?
Oh, Illinois,
Yeah,
the
Springfield,
capital.
Illinois.
You were in Illinois?
I'm in Illinois every other week, practically.
How did we not know this?
Me too, but then
Uh-oh.
also the other weeks as well.
The thing is, I'm literally stuck in Springfield.
Oh,
it's not
it's-
like I can like cruise 3 hours.
One day is it only 3 hours? I guess it is about 3-4 hours to Springfield, right?
4
Yeah.
or 5, I'd say.
Yeah.
Four and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like I can dip out, and I only go from Monday through Thursday. But anyway, this is not for the podcast.
I do want to say that Springfield, Rob, was your like your class trip in 8th grade to Springfield?
Yeah, we did go to the. I think so.
To Abe Lincoln's neighborhood, because I've been there.
Yeah.
Wait, no,
Yep.
I didn't do. I never did a Springfield trip.
Oh yeah, we went to Springfield in 8th grade. That bus ride that is 4 or 5 hours or whatever seemed so much longer. I'm pretty sure I fell in love with a girl in my 8th grade class and out of love in that day, mostly on the bus.
That is the cutest.
Yeah. Yep.
I will tell you, I did travel to Springfield once for school, but it was in high school, and it was for a computer programming contest. So
How did you do?
I placed.
Wow, I didn't know you
You
did
didn't go
that.
outside of me, did you?
No.
I placed 6th.
Out of?
12.
10.
Yeah, I got a lot of props in school because like, wow,
Woo!
you got 6th place, and I was like,
Yeah.
there were 12 people competing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sorry, since we are talking about Livius, my home office for the company I work for is in Springfield. It's actually, other than government jobs, it's the #1 employer of the city of Springfield.
Wow.
Horseman. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not know that. So
Also known as a centaur. Said horseman, right?
Leave it at that.
So proud of myself right there.
And you know what? I've actually drawn a cartoon because like one of our things is one horse man, and I called it One Horseman, and I put
Yeah.
a long horse with like many people on it. So we're right there.
We were pretty close.
Centaur, but
I'm over here because I have no idea what's happening right now.
He's way too.
I wanted to make a connection.
Have either of you read the book, The Haunting of Hill House?
No, and I'm ashamed.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, nobody's read it, and they're all ashamed because they should have.
Is it
Yeah,
Megan
there's-
Abbott? Is that who it is?
Shirley Jackson.
Shirley Jackson?
Where did I get? What's Megan Abbott?
She's still alive and writing books.
she's contemporary. Shirley Jackson is like this came out in
It
1959.
probably was reading about both of them on the same day.
Yeah.
Okay, so my apologies, Shirley Jackson.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of podcast shame going on about Shirley Jackson too. Like as a podcast, we're a little ashamed that. So look for some Shirley Jackson in the future. Not The Haunting of Hill House, but something else by her.
Yeah, we're gonna retcon. Like eventually, we'll just be like, yeah, we read it. Whatever. We don't have to. We never should feel shame about it. Anyway, so Haunting of Hill House is a series on Netflix, and the first season is 10 episodes, an hour long. For anybody who hasn't watched it, it's based on the Shirley Jackson novel, The Haunting of Hill House, but it's not an adaptation of the book. It's more like it's inspired by the overall mythology of the book. So, like in the original book, there's a group of people that go to Hill House for like a sleep study. All this stuff happens. In this series, it focuses on a family. Which, what's the last name of the family? Is it Crane? Something with a C, Crane.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember.
And the whole idea is the father of the family, him and his wife, kind of bought this house to renovate it, flip it, and they're going to live in the house while it's being renovated. While they're living there, all types of spooky, nasty shit goes down with ghosts and stuff like that.
And then we're moved into the modern day where we see more events, but we see what effect that living at Hill House took on the kids, I guess. And it's done in that back and forth way where you're a scene today, you're a scene 25 years ago, but in the modern time, it even skips around. So it's then and now, but then it's like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And then it's then it's now, then it's 2 years ago, then it's now, then it's 6 months ago, then it's then. So it did take, I think, a good 2 episodes to really get a feel like when something came on screen of when it was happening in the now. It's real easy to determine between the then and now, right? Because they're kids and they're in the house and now they're adults and they're older. It is, I don't know, man. It's one of the best written stories I've seen for a TV show. I mean, engaging, everything ties together at some point. I mean, it's really, really well written.
Misty?
Agreed. And oh crap! And I did not do my full research. Who played the mom?
Oh my god!
And I love her. She's got
a weird name, Carla Gugino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was recently in Gerald's Game also. That was on Netflix.
Yeah.
She was spectacular. I thought she did an amazing job. But yeah, the acting was good. The writing was good. It was beautifully done. Because it did have scares in it, but it also had fully formed characters that you cared about and you wanted to know what happened to them. And so that's, I think for all of us, what we care about in writing is also we need something to really latch onto to really pull us through a whole story, especially a series a season of how many, like 10 to 12 episodes, an hour long each.
10
so
episodes, yeah.
To really keep you engaged the whole time, you have to have people that you are attached to or characters. So it was excellent.
I can't make up my mind if the guy who played Steve is not a good actor or if his part was written in such a way that I cared about his story, but I couldn't care about him. And a lot of that was in the delivery. And I'm not sure how much of that was acting. And he's done a ton of other things. He was in Game of Thrones. He was in something else I've seen. And I don't ever remember thinking like this guy's a half-ass actor. But it really it felt that way in this. So that was the one thing I had about this is I didn't like the guy that played Steve.
I don't think you were supposed to like him. I think he was the flattest character. Yeah. He is the one who he had the least amount of growth. Mm-hmm. He had the least amount of trauma. I
just
think
didn't find him
likable.
Believable. I get it, but there are a lot of people that are unlikable that I go, man, that guy did a good job. I just can't say that he did a good job. I just couldn't. I found everybody else to feel very genuine. And for him, from him, I didn't buy it. So Nell and Luke were great characters. What's the girl with the gloves? What's her name?
I loved her.
Yeah,
Shirley.
No, Shirley was the older sister.
She had a weird name.
Theodora.
Yeah, that's right. Theo. Yeah, yeah, Theo. All of them I thought were really. Yeah, Shirley was okay, but the other three were phenomenal. Like they were just fantastic. So, but yeah, it was. Go ahead.
The thing that I noticed, it took a while to catch on to, but they really gave everybody a chance to let their character shine. Like every character had a moment in the series, except for possibly Steve, and that might have something to do with the way you feel about him. Because like, there was definitely a Shirley moment, there was a Theo moment, there was so many Nell moments and Luke moments, but like, even that fucking what's his name, Dudley guy or whatever, the
caretaker, yeah.
He had that thing when they were talking in the basement. We're not going to spoil anything, but like when he was like kind of explaining the reason that he doesn't go to the house after dark, he had that like it was like 2 or 3 minutes long, and it was such an engaging story that like I was like, fuck, even the house help gets a moment to be like, it was theatrical. It was something that you would see on stage, not like in a television show. And that's what I noticed like throughout almost every episode. There was a moment where someone had a monologue where I was like, they're doing this to an audience on a stage. Like, that's what it felt like. But there was so much drama and impact to it that it was fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you say that, because I did enjoy those moments. But I during this show specifically, but I think about this a lot, when I start hearing the monologue come on, like, this never happens in real life. Nobody has ever sat me down to tell me this monologue style story. Like, it just doesn't happen, and that's really where at times I get pulled out of a story a little bit. But I thought it was well done. Off the air, I want to discuss a couple of issues that I had with you guys, but they're super, super spoilery, so I'm going to hold off until after the end. I will say that the last episode, without spoiling anything, went on for a little too long and probably had a few things that I would have cut from it.
Ending issues?
Sort of. And again, I don't want to get real specific on it. There's a storyline that's revealed about one of the characters in the last episode that I thought was really fell flat. And then I'll say that post-climax was just a little bit too long, if that makes sense.
But not like not like Lord of the Rings too long? No, but bordering on that. Well, that last episode was like an hour and 15 minutes, I think, or an hour and 18 minutes. And I was like, yeah, they should have kept this at the hour mark. And I can tell you exactly where you could buy back your 15 minutes. Like, it would have been hard for me to get that down to an hour easily. So, as I was binging this, as I was watching, I raved on Facebook about episode 6. It was called Two Storms.
Yes.
Now, and we won't spoil much, but like, the thing I liked about the Two Storms episode is that episodes 1 through 5 really focused on like a single character perspective. Like, it told the same story from the perspective of a different character. So there was lots of overlaps in scenes, and you saw the same thing multiple times and everything. And it established like that slow burn kind of feel, but it really helped you get like intimate with the characters too. And then in episode 6, boom, they throw everybody in the room together, and it was shot like a one shot, like a single take. So all of this information is just flooding in, and characters are talking over each other, which that's always difficult to execute, if you ask me. But like, that episode went from like this slow burn to just like totally letting your foot off the brakes, hitting the gas, and like all of this stuff is going on. And the drama was fucking amazing. And I thought it was a nice kind of contrast to what we've been seeing so far, when you got everybody together at the same time.
So the thing about that episode, and I didn't count, but I feel that it might be pretty accurate to say that hour-long episode was like 7 or 8 single-shot scenes. Mm-hmm. I timed it. The first one was like 14 minutes long.
Wow.
And it showed a little bit. Like, there are parts in there where there's delivery that's really awful, that a director would have said, like, all right, let's take that line again. Misty, put some emotion into that line. You know what I mean? Yeah, but instead, because of the course, and I don't know how many takes it took them, I'm sure that there's documentation that you could read about that online. but it was still overall very impressive and nice to see. Yeah, the first one was 13 minutes, the second one was like 8 minutes, and all of them then even after that continued on, but they were all like 6-7 minutes each for the whole hour. So it was really, really an impressive feat for them to pull together.
Yeah. I mean, which calls to attention in general, like the way that, the series was shot, the fucking attention to detail they gave to like the scene transitions, like so when the scene transitioned from like present day to childhood, like whatever was happening in the present day at the cut was somehow either mirrored or mimicked in that, in the other side. So the transition itself even had value, whereas usually it would just be like a fade or, like a smash cut or whatever you want to say. But like even the transitions from scene to scene were just so significant. It was like that attention to detail is something you usually don't see.
Yeah, they blended.
Yeah. By far my favorite episode, I'm going to go against Rob on this one though, is episode 4. And episode 4, without spoiling anything, has to do, it surrounds Luke while there is something else happening that we witnessed in, or learned about in episode 3. Luke is kind of going through his own thing, and towards the end of the episode catches up to where we are. And I will say the plot of that hour, and probably the like last 20 minutes or 25 minutes of that hour, not kidding, I watch a lot of fucking TV. A lot of TV. It was the best story I have seen on TV in years. All right, this probably is what, Rob, I would put this right up against in The Shield when Shane gets shot in like the penultimate episode. Like I would put it up there with like that type of writing and that type of delivery, and it was just absolutely amazing. And if the rest of the show sucked, it would still get high marks for what they did in episode 4.
And specifically, this shouldn't spoil anything, but it's like Luke being cold.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good. Yeah, I'm telling you, I messaged Rob and I was like, this is the best TV I have watched in years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It says a lot without saying anything. Like, it tells you a story. Like, the absence of information is what tells the story. And yeah. Oh, man. Once you figure out what's going on, you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
What about the, like, background stuff? Did you guys, like, pay attention to, like, things that were, like, not necessarily out of frame, but just not the focus of the scene? Like, there was always creepy shit going on. Not always, but frequently they used, like, the unnoticed part of the scene to do creepy shit.
I only probably not until the latter, when they started mentioning that the ghosts were there, and so then I would notice, like, people who were in the shot that weren't actually in the family.
Yeah.
But
Okay. They just use, I guess in general, with expanding from that, like, space, I think, was used effectively for scares. Like, it wasn't like your, jump scare bullshit that you get in, like, your typical horror. Something could be could be scary just because it was a noise, or something like that. Like, it didn't have to be, a woman crawling all fucking weird. Like,
well, even just a giant old house is creepy alone. So yes, they did use that giant house. Like, it dwarfs any human that's inside of it. So that alone is scary.
I'm trying to figure out, they had this big, beautiful staircase, right, which is the focal point of like the last 4 episodes, maybe. Yes. But then they had this stupid spiral staircase that they all used for shit.
Yes, like in the back.
Yeah, who the fuck would go up that staircase?
By the way, that's the tallest spiral staircase I've
like
ever
3
seen.
stories. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Misty, I was just at the Arc de Triomphe. Picture that staircase, 280 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, it's not the biggest staircase I've seen. It wasn't even the second biggest staircase, because the one that goes down the catacombs, very similar, but even longer. Yeah, I'm glad that we figured out how not to do stairs like that anymore.
Yeah, Livius didn't vape until he was like back down at the bottom of the Arc de Triomphe. I don't know why that was funny. Here's what I'll say. That spiral staircase, I believe, has some significance to the original book, And my suspicion, here's why I suspect that. Have either of you seen the movie The Haunting?
No.
The Haunting is...
Who is in it?
It was a weird cast. It was like Catherine Zeta-Jones and like Owen
Then
Wilson.
yes.
And
Yes,
Liam
and the
Neeson.
house was like alive.
Yeah. There's a spiral staircase in that story too.
Wasn't that also based on The Haunting of Hill
It's
House?
based on The Haunting of Hill House. It's
Okay.
more... It's
I
more
do. But that's old, isn't it? From the 90s?
Yeah, it's old from the 90s. It's the... I was young in it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe the 90s is old. This is what I'm trying
Rob,
to say.
you said something at the very start of this, and you said it's the first season. I'm pretty sure this is a one and done.
No.
It should be if they're smart.
Well, I could be wrong about that, but I was under the impression... So this is all based on my impression, so I'm most likely wrong about that. It has not been renewed for a second season, but I heard somewhere, I think it was like Timothy Hutton or someone was quoted on Twitter somewhere that I read, saying that the Crane family story was done, but that doesn't necessarily mean... He didn't say that the series was over. So I have the feeling that they might keep it open to more stuff in future seasons.
I'm with
no facts.
Yeah, I'm with Misty on this should be done. Mm-hmm. They should not taint this wonderful, wonderful story with...
Yeah, because what do they do after this?
They would have to do a different family that lived there before the Cranes, essentially, and have them go through
or a different house or something. Yeah.
So here's what I'll say, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but something was done at the end of the season that left it open for more stuff to happen in the future. And in the book, The Haunting of Hill House, even though I haven't read it, I understand at least a little bit about it. The Crane family did exist previous to the story that happened in the book, The Haunting of Hill House. So what we might be seeing is the story that happened before the book leading into more information about what happens like in the current day after the story that we saw in the first season. But that's total speculation.
This is where we should have a spoiler talk, because there's so much good stuff to talk about, but maybe we'll do that on our own after we wrap this up. I really enjoyed it, even despite a few niggling flaws. I would definitely give this 5 stars.
Totally 5 stars. I haven't been this excited about a series since Hannibal and Penny Dreadful.
It was good.
There's so many aspects of it that just were done so well. It's obvious that they had such great talent. The acting was phenomenal. The writing, the cinematography, the design of the sets. I can't say anything bad about almost any of it. There's obviously my little minor objections like Livia's has, but this series went way above my expectations.
Rob, I have a prediction on how you would rank the 3 series you just mentioned. So can you give us? Can you force rank them? And and I'll be honest with you, if I'm right or what I would think.
Break my heart, because nothing can replace
Hannibal
what
is number 1.
Should be. All right.
Penny Dreadful. I knew you would say that.
Oh,
okay.
Hill House is number 3.
Right. I was wrong. I thought you would put this ahead of Penny Dreadful.
Oh my God.
I knew you'd go Hannibal first, but I thought you would put this ahead of Penny Dreadful. I am putting it ahead of Penny Dreadful. I really like Penny Dreadful.
I was going to say, I know that you like that more than I thought you would.
Yeah, and I'm going to put it ahead of Hannibal, because I like Penny Dreadful better than Hannibal, too.
Nothing is better than Hannibal. Go fuck yourself.
I mean, quite honestly...
Keep reading.
I could probably...
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I could probably list out some other shows, too, that I like better than Hannibal. I'll stop. I'll stop there.
Diaries.
I mean, Vampire Diaries was pretty good.
Well, Vampire Diaries. Good.
Misty, are you going to watch Legacies?
Wait, what Legacies? I thought you were talking about Vampire Wars or what? V-Wars.
No. So Vampire Diaries is the original show. The Originals was a spin-off of that, and now there's a second spin-off called Legacies, which actually started tonight.
I didn't even watch the original.
The Originals was not good until the final 2 seasons, and the final 2 seasons are rock solid.
Yeah, it lost me in episode 3.
Yeah. I'm with you. I kept watching it, just inertia, but it got really good towards the end.
Okay. So. Now this Legacies.
So Hill House, did Misty, did you rate it?
Oh, I'm 5 stars.
All right.
I don't have anything significant to add from what we've already discussed, but yeah, it's spectacular.
Definite rewatchable.
Oh, 100%.
I'm currently rewatching Hannibal. Misty, I'm like,
Shocking. You ran out of.
I did recently too. Well, actually, what I rewatched was season 2, of course, because that's
Natch.
Rob finished Justified, and he's like, "What can I do now?" After his 4th rewatching of Justified, he was like,
Justified
"I think."
like 3 weeks ago. I watched the entire series again. 6 seasons. I'm on season 2, episode 10 right now, Misty. So what that means is after we get done talking tonight, I'm finishing season 2 and crying.
I was going to say, try not to cry.
So I will say,
It's heartbreaking every time.
every time. And now it's just, and I want to give you. It doesn't matter because I wouldn't care if anybody judged me about that. But I want to tell you, I was on the Hannibal Reddit recently, and there was a thread where it was just like, "Does anybody else cry at the end of season 2?" And it's like 50 comments, and everybody's like, every time, every single time,
Every time.
It's fucking amazing.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go troll some bitches on the Hannibal fucking Reddit right now.
Vampire Diary Lover 282.
Yep, that's right.
Just fucking slaying everybody on Reddit.
Fucking slaying. That is hilarious.
I know we talked about some of the other things we watched, so we won't redo it because we just did this on the podcast a couple nights ago. But we didn't talk about, partially because I thought Rob was going to go see Halloween. We didn't talk about Halloween. And as Jesse isn't here, I can probably go unopposed as I am the only one that saw this. I went to see Halloween. Now, we did have another, I don't know if we're going to talk about, there was one other topic we were going to talk about, but I was introduced to Michael and Freddie. I was probably like 10 years old, 9 years old. I had friends, they were brothers. They were like a year or 2 years and like 3 years younger than me, but they were neighborhood kids. Their family owned, they were the first people I knew that had a VCR. And their stepdad, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he would go to the video store, and I am not exaggerating. He'd come back with 12 tapes. Mm-hmm. And I'd spend the night there, or I'd be there really late.
Was this the vodka guy? He would go through...
No, different guy. That was when I was a teenager, yep. And we would just watch movies, and there was no filter in that household.
Yeah.
Like, if I was like 9, that means his kids were like 7 and 5, and we're watching like Friday the 13th, or we're watching Halloween, or we're watching whatever other campy horror movie. So I have been a fan of Halloween for, I don't know, however long that's been. It was 40 years, right? So a little less than 40 years, because that's what it was since the first one. So I was really, really looking forward to this. And I don't think it was a bad movie. I just think it was really uninspired. Like, I just felt that they had this franchise to work with. They'd erased 8 movies of history or whatever it was, 7 or 8 movies. And I thought they did it because they had a better way of doing it. And I think they fell short on that. I mean, I don't think it was terrible. I just don't think they delivered anywhere near the potential that they could have. That's all. 2.5 stars.
Wow.
Dang.
That's rough.
It picked up a 0.5 star when I found out that Michael...
Yes!
That's the season 2 finale of Hannibal.
Oh, it hurts me. It hurts me so much.
It's Misty. It's canceled like 5 years ago. It's time to move on. I did give it. It did gain 0.5 star when I found out that that's the original Michael. The guy who played Michael Myers, the Shape, is the guy in this one. I didn't know that when I went into it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. So, expect more Halloween movies. This one made a lot of money. So,
speaking on behalf of Jesse, who is absent, when Jesse was asked about what his take on the Halloween movie was, and I quote, "I don't care what Livia..." No, he says, "It's fucking perfect. I don't care what Livius says." And that was before he knew that Livius did not like it.
Yep.
So.
That's fair. And Jesse and I pretty much see eye to eye on horror movies, so I'm a little surprised. I'll be honest. On horror movies, Jesse's like my go-to guy for horror films.
I didn't. Sorry.
This close. Misty almost
So,
let a yawn out.
so I kind of shared a little bit on where I first got exposed to the horror genre. Misty, how about you? What are your first recollections? Was it movies? So I was going to say TV shows, but really there weren't horror TV shows when you were a kid, when I was a kid.
So it's actually hard to say because my dad always read Stephen King. So we had the books, and I was actually reading Stephen King in elementary school. Like I distinctly, I know not everybody likes this one, but I distinctly remember reading Needful Things when I was like 10 or 11. And Thinner, and there were several, and the only one that I was not allowed to read was Gerald's Game because there was sex in it. And as far as movies go, I was allowed to watch anything.
Sexist.
But I was sent out of the room if there was a sex scene.
Yeah.
So I saw all the horror, and
Missy's like, I spent a lot of time in the other room. They must have just watched a lot of sex.
So,
Debbie does Dallas, local favorite.
But one of my absolute best friends when I was growing up, her name was Tara. Every birthday that she had, we would spend the night at her house, or I would spend the night at her house, and we would rent like 5 to 6 horror movies and watch them. And so I also was exposed to that when I was young. So I'm not sure. I think the books may have come first, but my dad also had the movies on too, so it's really hard to say. But from a very young age, I love horror.
This is where we're desensitized. I think I was in 5th grade. I remember my first Stephen King book was Different Seasons, and I think I was in 5th or 6th grade when I read that. Yeah. So, Rob's like, who? What?
Stand by Me. The movie is based on the body in that.
I was aware of that.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm learned.
Rob, what about you? What are your first exposures to the horror genre?
Well, as I hinted at, or just flat out said in the past, I was always very afraid of horror on the TV. So, as a kid, big wimp about that stuff, and I avoided it whenever I could. My brother loved it. My brother was always a big fan of just the scariest stuff, and I shied away from it. I have memories of. You may not know this. This was, I don't know how big of a thing this was, but at some point there was a Nightmare on Elm Street TV show.
Yeah.
And
what year was it? I must have missed that.
It was a weird though. You didn't miss much.
I think the light flickered in my living room. That's kind of weird.
Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street both had TV shows.
Yeah.
The Friday the 13th one was really weird. It was about a guy who owned an antique shop, but he would go around and so you'd see him, but then the stories were always about some object that was evil, and somehow by the end he would collect it up. But you would see the story leading up to it. Nightmare on Elm Street was something very similar. It was kind of like an anthology type show. Yeah. So Rob, is everything okay?
I know, I'm nervous now.
He keeps looking at his door, lights just flickered. We had weird shit happen earlier.
We're freaking him out.
I thought I heard weird noises, so.
We already lost Jesse. Now we see Rob go down on camera.
If you see a knife coming from
the devil mask,
like this direction, I'm being murdered by someone who broke into my house. And I'm wearing noise-canceling headphones, so I can't hear what's going on. So it'll be a total surprise. Although I have good peripheral vision, so hopefully I'll at least see the killer as I'm being murdered. So Nightmare on Elm Street TV show, I remember vividly, it was like a friend's birthday party, and it was like a sleepover at his house, and everybody there wanted to watch the episode that was airing that night, because it was like a Saturday night or whatever. I sat at the kitchen table in the other room because I was too afraid to watch the show.
Like a bitch.
Like a bitch. I was that bitch. However, well, don't judge fucking junior high Rob. It's just rude.
We call him past Rob around here.
Yeah, future Rob, also afraid of the Nightmare on Elm Street TV show, or starring in it. Who knows? But then the thing that really kind of earlier hooked me into horror stories was, I remember in middle school, my first taste of Edgar Allan Poe like story, like classic,
Yeah.
early classic literature type horror stories and stuff like that, like Telltale Heart and what is Cask of Amontillado and stuff like that. And so I think that was my original, and then also stories by other people, but they were like that classic kind of horror. So I think that was my first real appreciation of telling stories that were scary, because it wasn't the slasher shit that scared me. It was like the creepy human element kind of thing.
That's me too. Yeah. But I think that's why we love Hannibal so much. Also, like, a monster doesn't scare me as much as a
Like
person, like
that we can do.
something that a human turns into. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And that actually reminded me, I did like Poe too, but I also distinctly remember I read Bram Stoker's Dracula in 6th grade.
Hey, she was reading up on your people, Livius.
That's right. It's good to catch up on Romanian history when you can. I do have one other story. I think I told on the podcast previously. I think I had to be around 9 when The Exorcist was first on television. So it was a little bit edited, but I remember
fucking crazy.
So
That's
now
awesome.
I watched this with my grandmother, God rest her soul, who was a full-on like babushka
Catholic?
wearing religious woman.
Was she like she was that grandma?
Yep. And she made me sleep that night with a Bible under my pillow after watching The
Bless her
Exorcist.
little heart.
Yeah. So that was right around that same time I was watching, but you have to think, like, I don't know, to me The Exorcist is probably more scary than like a Friday the 13th, but as a kid that age, like, I was exposed to that stuff and I don't remember being scared of it. Like, I remember thinking my grandmother's being silly. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I wasn't afraid of it either. I was more afraid of aliens when I was growing up than I ever was.
I mean, you're right there by Roswell, New Mexico. I mean, that's probably...
Was that your grandma?
That, you know what? Not quite. But yeah, that's definitely... Did you look up old Romanian woman? Is that what you looked up? All right.
No.
That's Google Images for Romanian.
I literally Googled Eastern European grandmother.
I am going to throw this up before we miss it, because it's been mentioned a couple of times.
Hold on, we'll do it side by side.
Yeah, see, I don't know what people can see on my... Is that just on my screen? Do you see it, Misty? Do you see it now?
I see the photo.
No, but do you see the resemblance?
Oh, yes, we did the whole thing last year.
I just wanted to make sure that... Yeah.
No, I knew exactly what it was.
My hand up there because you can see his hand.
So funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because, like, my coworkers know about this, and Rob came to my place of employment the other day, and one of my coworkers goes, "Hey, I think that's Rob coming in." And I said, "Is it future Rob or a different one?" And I swear he says, "I think it's present Rob."
Cute.
Yeah, you're fucking killing me.
Any rate, Rob noticed earlier that that's always on my desktop on the podcast computer. That picture is always there, just in case I need to refer to it. I've seen this. I don't know if you listen to the podcast regularly. There have been like 6 other sightings. He's in like my neighborhood, like where I work, all the time. So I see him pretty frequently.
That's past Rob.
Yes.
Look at that.
See, even back then he was wearing a hoodie.
Most precious Rob.
The
hat thing is just a phase. He started with a hoodie. He's going to go back to a hoodie at some point.
Oh, do you want to see awkward, like 17-year-old Rob now that we're on this?
Why wouldn't we? I've seen that as well. That's one of my faves.
Oh, it's hard to see in this camera.
It is.
Look at that. Look at that
But
little.
Look at that little glint in his eye.
It's a fave.
All right. I think maybe we've wrapped up the Halloween talk.
Yeah. I think
Are we good? I mean, now we're all like going through our phone, looking at old photos and shit.
I know. I was trying to find Pink Panther Misty because I do have that.
Oh, dude, I have all the pictures of Misty. Like that sounded creepy, didn't it?
Just a little bit.
Oh, that's the best. That is the best.
That is really adorable.
So
my mom made that costume.
That's even more adorable.
It is.
So Misty whenever Misty has a birthday, her parents like to share like
Yes.
pictures of her when she was like an adorable kid. And then what happens is me and Jesse, because me and Jesse and Misty are like a bestie kind of unit. Jesse and I will just nonstop just bombard our text conversation with like pictures of cute young Misty, because it's the most adorable thing ever. And we probably were ugly or don't have pictures of our childhood. So
no, because Tiny Rob is also a frequent photo.
Tiny Rob does pop up from time to time.
Yeah.
First
The thing
Rob.
is, the problem is Jesse doesn't share as many
Yeah.
Tiny Jesse photos, so we don't have any baby Jesse photos. But if we did,
No one knows what
would
Jesse
have
looked
to.
like before 2013, I think. He could have just arrived from another planet or like the
legit,
future or something, and no one would ever fucking know.
legit.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up, kids?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah. Happy Halloween. Celebrate it on the right day, if at all you can. Thanks for tuning in to Facebook Live. I think we had 3 viewers over the course.
I think we maxed out at 2. We have 1 right now, so thanks for whoever.
That might be me signed in on my phone, so I don't know.
You're inflating.
I think we should have put this in the book podcast listening group ultimately, because I think that's where people would actually get notified. That being said, if you're listening in audio, you definitely want to catch this on back on Facebook, because you're gonna see the great Halloween costumes.
Majestic. I like that. I think there's snaps.
Glorious.
There's snaps involved in that costume somewhere, and I like
I see it.
the
I
fact
see
that
it.
snaps are involved.
Well, all right, yeah, when you put it together, I had the whole thing on earlier before we started. How does this go?
Oh, it's so magnificent.
Oh, the Gatwood family. John and Alyssa are watching.
Well, there you go.
And Alyssa said, "It's us." So it's not Livius. It's not Livius's grandmother making him keep Bibles under his pillow. It's the
She's
Gatwood
dead,
family.
bro.
That's so sweet.
Well, I mean, we watched haunting stuff. Nothing's
That's
stopping
true.
the dead from doing things.
So thanks for tuning in. We'll be back again in a couple short months for our holiday
you can call it Christmas.
office
we don't
party.
Have to be PC.
Our Christmas party, our holiday office party,
Holiday
I think,
office
where the party we throw for our staff members, Jesse and Misty.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get all 4 of us together for that one.
So excited for the gift exchange.
I haven't even started thinking about that yet. Rob's been
I'm
thinking
actually
about it.
so glad you said that.
That's exactly why I said it, because no one's been thinking about it.
Correct. Jesse, I think I got a package from Jesse. I think that UPS is at my door with
Son
my
of a bitch.
package from Jesse, Christmas package. So, on behalf of Misty Bennett, I am Livius Nedden.
And you just not gonna let her speak for herself? Is this like?
Well, no, I mean,
misogyny?
Not
What
part of
costume
the.
are you
I'm
wearing?
not.
it's
I am not part of the sign off. So
I am. Yeah, I'm.
Thank you
I'm
for
trying.
having
To,
me.
I'm trying to make her feel at home,
thank you
like in
for
Texas.
having me, and continue.
I'm
Rob
Livius
Olson.
Nedden.
I'm Rob. Fuck it. Keep reading. All right, I'm going to go off the air. So anybody who's watching, you will no longer be able to see us because we'll be off the air.